All right, all right. What's up, everybody? I'm
Hello,
Sherry,
hello.
and I'm here with Liz. We are coming at you. Well, I'm coming at you from OP and the Big D. That's Odyssey Pets in Dallas, Texas. And this month at Odyssey Pets, it is RAWGUST. I love RAWGUST because it celebrates raw and lightly cooked diets for pets. We've got some great specials going on too on some certain brands. Today, we have the opportunity to spend some time with Liz from Northwest Naturals. Um, I feed this brand myself, and what we're going to do today is talk about the brand and also why raw is considered the most biologically appropriate diet. So, Liz, how are you?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Sherry. This is fun. Like she said, I'm with Northwest Naturals, who is a raw and freeze-dried, frozen and freeze-dried raw foods company that also manufactures treats and bones as well as complete diets. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I've this brand, by the way, Odyssey Pets has been in business since 2006, and this was our first raw food that we brought in. So we've been carrying it for almost 15 years. Um, Surprisingly, though, I don't know that much about the background of Northwest Naturals. Can you fill us in on some of the history?
Absolutely. So, Northwest Naturals is a family-owned company that's located in Portland, Oregon. And the Morash family has been manufacturing in the meat industry since the mid 1950s for human foods, for hotel, restaurant, and grocery. And so they have a USDA inspected and passed facility for human food. And in the 1990s, they started manufacturing pet food using the same quality meat in the same types of safety standards to make a pet food in a human food facility. So that's one of the great things about Northwest Naturals is that you can feel confident that you're feeding a food that is coming up from a place that's the same quality that your own meat is coming from. It's made right in the same facility, literally just like on the production lines. And I've had the opportunity to go to their facility a few times, so you can believe me when I say that it's clean, great manufacturing processes. They really take care to make sure that things are done correctly. And anyway, so it's a high quality product because it's made in a human food facility. Some things people might not know about that without getting like boring and detailed and regulatory and all of those kinds of things is just the safety standards to which the food is required to adhere to be prepared are much higher than sometimes what's available in a pet food facility.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you guys source most of your ingredients?
Sure. So everything's sourced as local as possible. So for the most part, things are coming from the United States and specifically from the Pacific Northwest. There are a few things that are sourced overseas as far as like lamb. Most lamb is coming from New Zealand these days. The green mussels that we use in our freeze-dried treats also coming from New Zealand. Rabbit is from France. So there are a few kind of outliers and more of the novel proteins, but most things are coming from local farms that the Morash family has had relationships with, for what, I guess like 70 years now. So, like trusted sources.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, was Northwest Naturals one of the first companies to launch a raw food for pets?
Yeah, it was really early. I know that they were very early in the manufacturing for their first venture in pet food was manufacturing for another person. So I know that food might have been the first one.
Okay.
But yeah, Northwest Naturals was very early. I think in the 1990s. I don't want to like steal that claim to fame away from somebody else or whatever. But there were a few that were kind of like right out of the gate, very very similar times that started to build. The sort of commercially prepared raw pet food products that you see on the shelf today.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I think raw itself didn't gain popularity until like 2010. I felt like, and now it's really popular because people are getting more educated.
Absolutely.
So that's what we want to talk about the nitty gritty here. Some people are scared to feed raw. They don't know what raw is. So let's just dive in. How do you want to attack this?
I mean, well, let's just get the fear factor right out of the way. Um, it's I understand the cause for concern because we've been taught our whole lives to be, be cautious when you're handling raw meat because you can get sick from the bacteria. So first of all, it's you that can get sick from the bacteria. The pets are much less likely to become sick from encountering even the like most bacteria situation. The normal healthy pet's probably not going to be terribly impacted by that. But the main thing is that like a brand like Northwest Naturals, there's the food industry, the human food industry has a lot of different systems in place to help with preservation. And one of the sort of like safest preservation methods that the human food industry uses is called high pressure processing. And what that does is, when it pertains to Northwest Naturals, is it takes the product under a very high pressure for a very short amount of time, in which the cell walls of these little potential salmonella, bacteria, whatever, it becomes denatured and therefore renders it ineffective. So Northwest Naturals, in order to sort of ease the concern for the average consumer that's out there and just trying to find a safe product for their pets, uses the HPP process on all of their recipes in order to guarantee that it is 100% free of any pathogens.
So you don't have to worry about salmonella, right?
No, there's actually more rigorous salmonella testing for raw foods than there is for kibble these days.
And for people food, it seems like I could go next door to the grocery store next to me, and I think that the stats are like 1 out of every 4 trays of chicken thighs is going to have salmonella on it.
It's something like that. I don't know the precise number either, but I know it's legal for salmonella to be present on the grocery store shelf, and it's illegal for salmonella to be present in the freezer in your store. So
right.
There's regulatory purposes for the HPP process, both for to make regulators happy and both to just give the consumer your customers a food that they can feel safe about feeding, especially if you have if your kids feed your dog or something like that. It's nice to know that when feeding Northwest Naturals, they can feed it and wash their hands and move along, and just like they should with anything else. Especially these days, the hand washing seems to be the theme, I guess. But
so I mean, if you're worried about it, wash your hands. But I wanted to go back to to you touched on it really quick, but I tell people this all the time. Salmonella is not going to affect your dog or cat because their pH in the stomach acid is so much higher in their digestive process than us. They have like a pH of 1 in their stomach or something like that. So they're just not affected by it. It's us. So
that is correct.
Yeah.
And you can find veterinarians who will fully support the safety of feeding raw foods to dogs and cats as well.
It's few and far between where I am. I would like to recommend, if anybody's interested in more education on this after we're done here. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Karen Becker. She's all over the internet. She's a holistic veterinarian that preaches the good stuff. She's the one that coined the term like a species appropriate diet. And I just want to touch on that. I'm no Dr. Karen Becker, but
nope, not me either.
But the reason it's the most species appropriate diet is because it hasn't been processed. It's the meat, the bone, a little bit of veg, all ground up, and then they put it into a nugget. Like this is a bag of, well, it's an empty bag, but this is the Northwest Naturals bag of nuggets. And then they also have these chubs. Anyway, so they form it into different shapes, and then all you have to do is let it defrost and feed it out. If you put it in the microwave, that's going to kill off a lot of the good enzymes, which, by the way, sorry, I'm just going to touch on a lot of things here.
Do your thing. It's rocking.
The enzymes in the raw food help break down plaque and tartar. So for the most part, if you fed raw exclusively, you would probably never have to have your dog's teeth cleaned. So that's also an upside. You want to jump in? There's so much to cover. If anybody,
Yeah,
oh, by the way, if
absolutely.
anybody has any questions, you can drop it in the comments. I'm watching.
Absolutely. So, I mean, so a lot of times people just wonder, well, my dog seems fine. Why should I add raw food? A lot of times the reasons people find raw food is because they are looking for a solution to a specific problem that they have, such as like an overweight pet or a pet that has skin and coat issues or allergy issues, a pet that has, like you said, dental challenges where they're having more plaque on the teeth than they want and having to have work done more often than both you feel is safe for the dog and for your wallet.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, you know, that's an expensive thing. So there's tons of reasons why you can feed raw food, but I think one of the most important, I mean, fresh food's healthier than processed food, right? Like that's not that part of the story. Just
Yeah.
understanding that fresh food is healthier to eat than processed food. That's not a hurdle to jump over. It's sort of the how and the why, and is it even making a difference and stuff like that. So for me, we have 4 dogs at home. They're all seniors. 14, 13 and 14 are the 3 girls, and they've been raw fed since we've had them. So 10 years, over 10 years. And so sometimes when you feed raw for a long time, you sort of like forget how big of a deal it is and how much improved your pet's health really gets when you switch on to raw. So we just had the good fortune of welcoming another senior boy into our home a couple of weeks ago. And so we have had the experience of transitioning this dog to raw food from a kibble that is a reasonable quality kibble. It's you will see it on television. It's probably one of the healthier kibbles that advertises on television out there. People in the industry probably can guess what one I'm dropping right now. I'm not gonna name names here, but the benefit is that, you know, through Bacon, my new dog's name is Bacon. Through Bacon's food transition, I have sort of like, you know, been rejuvenated once again by seeing how exciting it is to watch a dog transition from kibble to raw, even during the parts of the transition where we were only doing half and half. You saw major changes in his skin and coat. The stool is like way smaller now than what was happening when he first came to visit us. And his teeth are starting to get clean. You know, we took him to the veterinarian just for an exam to kind of find out where his baseline is. And we got him, you know, just to see, you know, he's 11 years old. So we got to see what's going on. And our veterinarian, who thankfully supports raw food, she just said that the raw bones that we're going to be doing to help clean his teeth and switching him over to a raw diet, in addition to using like an enzymatic topical product that's really good on the teeth, is probably going to take care of everything 100% without having to do any type of procedure on him. And, you know, the more you can eliminate anesthesia for senior dogs, I think the better. So anyway,
Yeah,
the
for
skin and
sure.
coat thing was the thing that was the most impactful to me, though, because I think a lot of people just sort of think their pet is just going to have dandruff, even if they're on a sort of decent food and whatever. But you know, just a little bit of raw food might take that dandruff right away. So I think it's just really exciting. Yeah,
No, we have a couple people that commented.
cool.
I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but Franchi, she says her Bernese has been on raw since day one, and her Yorkie has been on it for over the last 2 years. No need to clean teeth. Coat is gorgeous, great energy, etc. The Yorkie seemed like a new dog after the switch. Same with me. I have a 15-year-old. Well, I've got 4 dogs, but the biggest change I could see was in my 15-year-old Brussels Griffon. He almost went through what I thought was a detox. Like
Yes.
he shed really bad for like 3 days, and he had like eye goop, and then after that 3 days, it's like he had a whole new coat,
Mm-hmm.
and he was revitalized, and he is still alive. So he's really old. But yeah, I mean it's amazing stuff. It's amazing what nutrition can do. And you can get off a lot of those allergy medications and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And like I think, you know, we're so used to just feeding dog food, right? Like you just buy your kibble, then it just seems like what we've been learned to as like learned our whole lives is feeding dog food. And really, like, I think once you sort of just take a second to open your eyes to how dog food came about or how kibble came about, it was we never had kibble until the 1950s, when all of like the other convenience foods, which no one looks at like a Swanson TV dinner and goes, well, that's the healthiest way to eat. You know, you understand that it's like the quickest, fastest, like whatever way to eat, you know? So,
Well, I consider kibble more like cereal. It's like us living off of cereal every single day. Would you want to do that? No.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Even the cereal commercials put a banana on top, or like put some milk, you know what I mean? They're adding
And I
other
encourage
sort of
that.
like, they add
If
other foods from the outside of the grocery store to that cereal
yes,
bowl to tell you that it's then complete and balanced. So it's like,
yes.
ooh, interesting. Maybe I should, for my dog, do something outside the sort of cereal bowl.
And I've been encouraging, I totally encourage people to do that. If you're going to stick with your dry food, then at least add something fresh to the bowl.
Exactly.
Whether that be raw or even freeze dried, or you want to add some moisture though, like goat's milk, kefir, even if it's just like some fresh chicken, as long as it's not too
Absolutely.
salty.
Or a raw egg. A raw
Yes,
egg is another
eggs
great
are
one.
great because it has all 7 essential amino acids.
Yes.
Somebody else, Joanna, asked, will it help with weight? We touched on that briefly, but yes,
Yes.
it is the most appropriate diet. It won't put on weight. Of course, you have to feed, the right amount, but yeah.
That's part of the solution, I think. Even just by nature, when you feed raw, you feed the set amount every time, because you don't you measure it. There, it comes in so many different forms, whether you're using the nuggets or the patties or the chubs or whatever other brands offer. Just however you're doing it, just keep doing it. That's all good. But like, you're measuring a certain amount, so you're never just sort of going to give them like a heaping extra pile of it, right? So that part takes care of itself. And then it's typically really low carb. And so with our pets and the way that their digestive system works, they function very well on lower carbs in their life.
Right.
So,
It's the carbs that make them fat, and fat actually gives them energy, and it's the opposite for us. So we take carbs and turn it into energy, and we eat fat and it just makes us fat. So
yeah.
Robert says, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just
Okay.
agreeing with you.
He is researching ways to make his own raw food at home, and I totally support that. I think there is I actually tried to do that, but I just don't have the time. So
I agree. It's a lot of work.
and you want to make sure you're getting all your vitamins in there. So there's a couple supplements that I recommend, but there is a book by, I think it's called like Dogs Naturally, but it's written by Dr. Lou Olson, Lew Olson. She's been feeding raw since the 70s, and she explains exactly how to do it. So I would buy her book and go that route. But if you don't want to do all that, then a commercially prepared diet like Northwest Naturals covers all your bases. So Bill says
Absolutely.
yes. Bill says we have four Havanese at home, ranging from 5 to 16. All have been on Northwest Naturals frozen for their whole lives. Even the 16-year-old still has a great coat. That's amazing.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you with your seniors, but like, I'm constantly hearing things about my senior dogs. Like, those dogs are 13 and 14 years old. What are you talking about? They act like super young. I mean, Ella, my Jack Russell, and granted that breed is active, but she'll still jump and ping her little front paws off of my leg she'll be 15 this fall. And you don't realize that getting quality years out of your pet, I mean, if it's really so simple as feeding a diet, I'm all in, because
Right.
I love them.
It'll save you trips to the vet for sure. So, and Northwest Naturals, I got to say, is one of the best priced raw foods on the market. It's very fair pricing. They don't do a lot of advertising, so they also have a frequent buyer. If anybody has questions about Northwest Naturals, you can always reach out to me, or I think y'all's website is
www.northwestnaturals. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm lying. www.nw-naturals.net is the website.
right.
And there's tons of resources there. But I'm glad that you brought up the issue of price, because sometimes that can be a challenge that is difficult to overcome, because you want to make sure that you don't exceed the budget that you have in place for your pet food, but you want to do your best to feed the highest quality stuff. So one of my favorite ways to like make raw feeding, or at least some raw food, totally affordable is by using the frozen necks. Do you guys carry the frozen necks at your store?
Oh, like the chicken necks and turkey necks?
Yes.
Yes.
Sweet. So like frozen chicken necks or turkey necks are what I call like a meal replacement bone. So you want to feed a complete and balanced diet to your pet, of course, but complete and balanced really just means complete and balanced over time, not complete and balanced perfectly in every single meal the dog gets. So like if you feed a complete and balanced meal, let's say you're feeding your pet twice a day, so that's 14 meals a week. If 10 of those meals are complete and balanced, 4 of them, sub them out with a chicken neck or a turkey neck for the appropriate size dog. What that does, one, gets raw food in the pet's diet. The enzymes are there, which are going to help clean the teeth. The chewing action is there, which helps clean the teeth. You can feed it frozen or you can feed it thawed. And if they chew it, if you start frozen and they start chewing it down, the way that it just becomes a really good natural toothbrush for that. So when you look at it as potentially like your dental product, your chew, your meal, all these things, then suddenly the budget question starts to become a little bit more reasonable, because you're checking way more boxes just with those items. So a lot of times, and let's just say that meaty necks are maybe not everybody's first choice as their first venture into raw food, but if cost is your number one concern, that can be an easy way to go. Another easy way to go is just by starting like with some freeze-dried treats. Like Northwest Naturals makes a bunch of different varieties of freeze-dried meat pieces. These are their chicken breasts, for example. So if you're using a treat for training or just for whatever reward anyway, make it a freeze-dried treat, and then you've integrated just a little bit of raw into the diet that way. And then you can also just do partial feeding, whether it's just topping the bowl of kibble with a few nuggets every meal and just getting a little bit in that way. That's another way to do it. And then just make that bag stretch for a really long time. And between all of that and the frequent buyer program, and I'm sure you guys, we put stuff on sale from time to time. I think some Northwest Natural stuff, and you probably have other raw brands that are participating in sales this month right now for RAWGUST. So
yeah, RAWGUST. So I don't have raw on sale too often, so this is a really good time to try. I wanted to touch on real quick, there's 2 schools of thought on the raw during the same meal as a kibble.
sure.
Originally, I was taught don't mix it because it's hard to digest. Then I did some more research and realized that doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Your second
I
opinion is
think
correct.
you can mix it. Yeah.
You can absolutely mix it. Here's my theory, and this is just a guess, and I'm not accusing anybody, but I would guess that someone in a marketing department for a raw food company thought that it was much more likely to sell more raw food if we talked about how we should feed only raw food, or to sell more kibble if we talk about how we can feed only kibble. So
Yeah.
I'm just, with the way that the decisions are made like that, there's really not a lot. When you think about your own diet, you don't eat an apple and then have somebody offered you cooked carrots and go, oh no, I've just had a raw apple. If I eat those cooked carrots, you just watch out. It's just not how we roll, right?
That's great. So,
yeah.
That's funny. No, yeah. Oh, I can't have something cooked and raw in the same meal.
Right.
Yeah.
Like putting grapes with cooked chicken and a chicken salad. No way. Like it's just not It's not, it doesn't make sense. Now,
Yeah.
that's not to say that there's not a dog out there that has a digestive situation that might be benefited from one or the other, or what, you know what I mean? There's always anomalies to all of this. And that's why I feel like sometimes it's hard to get to the conclusive answer, because it's like, well, that one dog that didn't do well with it. And
Right.
so,
And
yeah.
so yeah, I want to caveat all of this conversation with there is no perfect diet for all dogs. Every dog is
Yes.
different. So, find what works for you and stick with it. But I do encourage rotation and experimenting with healthier, healthier options than just
Absolutely.
dry food. Yeah.
Absolutely. Being afraid to change the pet's diet in any way, like, so I hear a lot, oh, I can't give them anything because then we have digestive upset. To me, that's a big red flag that we should actually vary the diet and get the dog more acclimated, because if the dog system is so sensitive where anything outside of the food bowl triggers them, it means that their gut health is not set up for success in the best way. So maybe adding a goat milk to the bowl, or what, just whatever it is, the Odyssey can help you find whatever solution to that is right for your house. But if you're watching this going, oh, well, I can't try this because my dog will, you're actually a perfect candidate to try it, as long as we go low and slow and ease in and make the right kind of path. But you can probably help improve inflammation and other things in your pet. Oh, inflammation is a medical term. I'm not a doctor. We're not making any claims here. I don't know. Maybe something could help support an appropriate inflammatory response. I'm not sure what legally we're allowed to say when we're not doctors about inflammation, but anyway.
No, inflammation's a big deal, and I feel like the it's not carcinogens, but I can't think of the word for when you cook meat till it's burnt.
Mm-hmm.
That can cause inflammation.
Yes.
And what do you think a kibble is? It's a burnt meat cookie. So
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. For anybody who's still watching, if you have any questions, drop them down. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. And so I just want to reiterate that raw food, I believe to be the most biologically appropriate diet. It is the best. Any amount that you can fit into your current routine would be beneficial. So I highly encourage it. Come see Odyssey Pets. We've got Northwest Naturals on sale, $5 off.
Woo!
And yes, on the nuggets and on the chubs. The chubs, by the way, are the cheapest way to buy raw. It is the cheapest per pound, and it's like a $5. It looks like it's a 5-pound like sausage, and you can just defrost that and cut it up into your own little patties. All right, so I've already talked about how to contact you. If anybody has questions, reach out to Northwest Naturals, or you can reach out to Odyssey Pets. Of course, we've got our Facebook page. You can message me there. You can email us, info@odysseypets.com. And we have a new way to sign up for our newsletter. If you don't currently get our newsletter, you can text OP Big D to 22828, and it'll automatically sign you up. So, Liz, did you want to add anything?
No, just feed your pets some real food, guys.
Yeah, real food.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I wish we could have gone in deeper, but yeah, maybe next time, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Sherry. Have an awesome day.
You too. Thank you, and thanks everybody for watching. See you later.